Welcome to the first episode of the Here at Haas podcast, where we're going to meet the team. We have with us Paulina Lee, Ray Guan, Aravind Mamidanna, and myself, Sean Lee. But before we jump into the conversation, I want to explain what the Here at Haas podcast is. The name says it all. Here at Haas is the continuation of the One Haas podcast, specifically covering stories of current Haas students, faculty, and everyone else here on campus. The One Haas podcast I've been hosting will transition into the One Haas alumni podcast. So let's dive right in. First off, we have Paulina Lee. She's a passionate and curious storyteller from New York who also has 5 ways to brew coffee in her SF apartment. Next up, we have Ray Guan, whose background is in analytical field of insurance, but his true passions lie in creating and maintaining a wide variety of diverse and authentic relationships in both his personal and professional life. Last but not least, we have Aravind Mamidanna, who's always wanted to be the most interesting man in the world, but found that the best way to do that is by being interested in others. So let's start off with a round robin of questions. Ray, why don't you give us some of your hobbies, especially during this shelter-in-place time?
Well, Sean, it's funny you ask. I am actually into podcasts and also virtual fitness. I love podcasts about productivity hacks, and they are especially useful nowadays because we are all sheltered in place. I also enjoy doing virtual fitness classes, one of which is actually hosted by Paulina. So every Tuesday, Paulina hosts a Haas HIIT, which is a high-intensity interval training class. And so we get to spend about 45, 50 minutes working out with our fellow classmates. So, Aravind, what about some of yours?
I went to one of Paulina's HIIT classes and it almost killed me. So I'm falling back on my other hobby that I just picked up. So about a month back, I just bought a motorcycle. So I love going on motorcycle rides, which I've been doing every day. It's probably a little irresponsible, but I enjoy it. Paulina, what about you?
Well, as you guys mentioned, hosting the Haasi HIIT class every Tuesday has been a ton of fun. I'm a big fitness fanatic, so being able to share that with all my favorite Haasis while we can't see each other that often during the week has been a ton of fun for me, picking out the music, picking out the exercises. I'm struggling just as much as you are, Aravind, so I hope you come back and do another class next week. Other than that, I've just been taking more time to cook and bake, and I bought a wetsuit this week, so might go out and pick back up on surfing because that's a very good social distancing activity. So we'll see. I feel like even though we're home more, I still have less time because I think people were starting to overcompensate on the virtual happy hours. So I have 2 or 3 happy hours and calls scheduled almost every night. And I think I just want to hide in my closet now. But no, it's been great connecting with friends, old and new. It's been a lot of fun.
So let's follow that up with, what have your favorite Haas experiences been so far before our shelter in place, Paulina?
Before our shelter in place, honestly, it's really just been getting to know everyone. I don't know if I have a specific moment. I think if I had to pick a specific one, I guess I would say the leadership communications class, because I think we had the opportunity to make really close, intimate connections in a small group setting because you're opening up, telling an authentic story, while also doing a lot of self-reflection in the process. So you're learning more about your classmates, more about yourself, and how to be a better leader. What about you, Ray?
I would agree. I'm on the weekend cohort, and whenever we have classes in person on Saturdays, we go through 8 straight hours, right, with a lunch break in between. And so I love the 6 p.m., 7 p.m. happy hours that we have, where we can all get updates on each other's lives and what has happened during the week. You brought up leadership communications. There was one weekend where we had a Saturday full day of classes and then a Sunday full day of leadership communications. And a lot of people who typically commute actually stayed the night, and just spending that night with them and having that time to really get to know each other better. That's just been the highlight of my experience so far.
I mean, I would have to agree with both of you and echo the same sentiment. I've been pleasantly surprised by all the people that I've met at Haas so far, and it's been such an amazing experience being with all of my cohort mates and learning from them. And I think one thing that really speaks to my experience was over the winter when we had a break and I was enjoying my time off. I was looking forward to going back to school, even though it's super brutal and you have to go back and spend all your Saturdays and weekends. But I think me looking forward to school, which never happened in my life, just speaks to how good the people at Haas are.
So what I want to ask you guys next is, since we're meeting the team for the new Here at Haas podcast, I'm really curious to hear, and I'm sure our listeners are as well, why you guys are interested in the podcast and what you envision for it.
So I knew I wanted to get involved in the podcast. Actually, the first time I heard that we had one, I grew up listening to NPR with my parents in the car, Planet Money, Marketplace. NPR was kind of the standard media that played in my house, always in the evenings as well as on the weekends. And that's my preferred way of consuming media, both news and entertainment, is through podcasts. Mm-hmm. So when I heard that you were looking for a team and that you were looking for people to pass along the podcast to after graduating, I knew I wanted to get involved. I think as I think about, where we want to take One Haas to Here at Haas, for me, it was two things kind of stood out. So one, bringing a female voice, bringing a female perspective in order to help connect with our different students that we're interviewing, as well as connect with the audience. And then two, I thought it would be a really neat idea to expand beyond just students. We have so many amazing professors at Haas who do a great work in the classroom, but even more so amazing work outside the classroom through research and impact in the community, and even globally. So just bringing those stories to life and really getting to dig into those as well. What about you, Aravind?
I wanted to get involved in the podcast because I love this particular genre of podcast, which is the interviewing style. And to be honest, even before I joined Haas, I listened to so many podcasts that I was like, let me just search for what Haas does. And I found Sean's podcast and I listened to a few of them and I was like, oh, this is such a cool idea. I really want to be involved in it. And then I joined and then it just, we have so many things to do that it slipped my mind. And then I ran into Ray, who told me, hey, I'm doing this podcast with Sean. And immediately it felt like, oh, this is some universe telling me that I should join. So I immediately asked Ray and he made the introduction to Sean. And I sat in on the first podcast and I was hooked. I really wanted to do more and more of it and be involved with this podcast. What about you, Ray?
When I was a prospective student, I listened to the One Haas podcast and I just enjoyed getting to know that there are so many people from different backgrounds. I think the primary reason why I'm doing the MBA is, in a larger sense, just networking. And when you are talking to someone in happy hour and you only have 5 minutes and there are maybe 6 or 7 other people in the circle, you don't really have time to get into, what was your background? What brought you here? People will say, I'm from Boston or I came from Michigan. And that's it. Whereas on a podcast, you really get to hear their stories. And then you can ask them some follow-up questions and dig even deeper.
Well, we don't want to give you guys too much on our hosts. We will definitely hear more from them in their respective episodes that they'll be hosting and recording in the future with guests. So please tune in to the Here at Haas show in the coming weeks.